All right. Welcome everybody to episode 3 of the Business Line podcast. I'm Brian. This is my good partner in crime, Manny, otherwise known as Manish. Don't get that wrong. He doesn't like it when you get it wrong. Thanks again for joining us for episode 3. Just real quick, if you didn't get a chance to catch episode 2, you can pause this or watch this and go back. Make sure you watch episode 2. Some really good insight, really great stories from David Kitchen, leadership
some
expert.
Crazy stories, yeah.
And you're not going to want to miss that. Some really good stuff. But now on to the important matter of the day. We've got a fantastic guest to share time with today. His name is Marty Hurwitz. He is the founder of a company called The MVEye. Is that right, Marty?
Yes.
All right. The MVEye. And this is one of the coolest things. We're going to get pretty deep into it a little bit later on in the podcast. But it's all about lab-grown diamonds. And man, I can't wait to learn about what's going on in that industry and how you're moving and shaking, Marty. But to get started, tell us, well, actually, let me introduce you. Let me tell the folks a little bit about you who might not be familiar with you. So you're a subject matter expert in lab-grown diamonds, which is a powerfully disruptive technology in global gem and scientific arenas. He's done significant research on this topic since 2004. Again, with 2004, you guys don't want to know what I was doing in 2004. I was not very impressive.
I was working really hard. I don't know about you, but I was working really hard.
You probably were. You were building the business. I mean, I was having fun. I was working for the Boy Scouts of all things. But anyway, and you've been actively involved in the rapid global growth of this explosive market. You're the founder of this company we're going to talk about a little bit today, the MVEye, which provides research and communication services to a global client list, including Tiffany, Rio Tinto, BHP, Swarovski, Signet, Hallmark, Pandora, Titan, and Sequoia Capital. Those are some big names. Those are powerful players. In 2004, the MVEye completed its first consumer research study on awareness and acceptance of lab-grown diamonds for fine jewelry. And every year since, your company has monitored the progress of this category with consumers and trade organizations globally. That's cool stuff, man. I don't even know if we're worthy to be on the podcast with you, Marty. Honestly, I can't wait to hear about your journey to get to where you are today, and learn a little bit about what's going on in this market and why we should be paying attention. What do you think, Manny?
First I want to start with this, kind of, will sound like a silly question, but I'm intrigued about the name, the MVEye. So what does that mean? I mean, how did you come up with this name, MVEye?
The original name for the company was MVEye, the letters MVEye Marketing.
Okay.
And as we evolved more and more in the digital sphere, and our marketing got more digital as opposed to traditional, we thought we would come up with something a little catchier that was related to what we do, which is really keeping an eye on consumer research and trends. So we adapted the name, came up with a cool logo. It's turned out to be pretty effective for us.
Love it. Very cool.
It is catchy.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Marty, your journey, kind of your from your humble beginnings to where you are today.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me on. I appreciate it very much. Really, I've enjoyed watching your other episodes, and it's great to be with you. And literally, this has been a 32, 33-year journey that started in some pretty humble beginnings. I was a very small third-generation jewelry retailer at the beginning, and I'd had some marketing and market research background in other industries. And eventually I just got sick of being a retailer, which is a brutal business.
Where are you from originally, Marty?
Originally from Brooklyn, New York.
All right. New York. Okay. Jewelry retail in Brooklyn. That must have been an adventure.
It was intense, yeah. And I literally had research and marketing experience in some other industries, and I just pivoted when I didn't want to be in retail anymore, and I hung out a shingle to the jewelry industry, offering consumer research to anybody that would listen to me, because nobody was doing it at that time. There was no real monitoring of consumer trends. there was no real interest in consumer trends. It was a very traditional bound business that didn't change much. And I thought somebody should be keeping an eye on what consumers thought. And, slowly but surely people started paying attention. My wife was from the wholesale side of the jewelry business. We met at a trade show. She joined me as a partner. We moved to California, 1987, 88, and we started really catering to the influx of jewelry coming in from overseas markets into the U.S. And that's really where we hit on a couple of clients that drove our business.
Wow. And so that was in the late 80s. So how's marketing from your standpoint? Obviously it's drastically changed, but what was the process for marketing in the late 80s? What were you doing then?
Well, this is a great sort of right place, right time story for us. And literally, we were working out of our apartment in Los Angeles, and we couldn't pay the rent, let alone do any advertising. We had a fax machine.
Ooh.
And you remember those?
Oh,
yeah. And we ran one ad, a quarter-page ad in a magazine called Jewelry News Asia, which was a trade magazine. And the ad said, if you want more sales from the lucrative U.S. market, it had a little map of the U.S., fax this number. And the audience was all in Asia, in China, Singapore, India, and Australia. And because of the time difference, the fax machine would ring all night long and wake us up. And eventually, and we would get a lot of inquiries, literally 10, 20 a day, because everybody was making jewelry overseas, wanted to sell it to U.S. retailers.
10, 20 leads a day in the middle of the night. I'd love to wake up to 20 new leads tomorrow morning.
I can relate to that. Like we used to work in the night shift back in India. Yeah. So I can relate to that.
Sorry, Marty.
Yeah.
That's all right. So most of them were unqualified to afford us at all. And so my wife stopped waking up to the fax machine. I continued to wake up to it. And then one day we got a fax from the world's largest diamond mine in Australia called Argyle. And I looked at this sheet and I couldn't believe it. Remember, it was those curly sheets then. I couldn't believe it. And I went up and I woke up my wife screaming. I said, do you know who these guys are? This is the biggest diamond mine in the world. They used to mine the most expensive pink diamonds. And they also mined brown diamonds, which we wound up, they wanted to change the name to champagne diamonds. And long story short, a week later, they were on a plane visiting us in Los Angeles, and we helped them do research and development of this new category, champagne diamonds, and they stayed with us for 25 years.
That's amazing. So when they came to LA, you guys were working out of your apartment. How did you wow them? How did you roll out the red carpet?
Well, we didn't have to because they took rooms at the Four Seasons Hotel.
So you just went by them.
There.
Perfect. Oh yeah, I've been here a lot. We spent a lot of time here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That is cool. That doesn't make me feel so bad. When we started Panacea in 2016, remember you were in India still, right? Because you had gone home. Joe was in Johnson's Creek and I was in Manitowoc. We're all kind of working out of our bedrooms.
Yeah.
And then we decided to get an office in Fond du Lac, which is about an hour from where I was living, half an hour from here.
It was a church building.
It was a church. We're in the upstairs of an old church for our first couple of years. But it's like that, right? It's like you want to be honest and forthright, but there is a little bit of smoke and mirrors when it comes to landing your first few clients to give them the confidence to make the right decision to choose you, right? There's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah, I know. I've never felt it was a linear equation.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks, you go to A, you go to B, you go to C, you get to D. It doesn't work that way.
Nope.
It's a very squiggly path, and most of it you don't know where it's going once you start out on the road. And
kind of just riding the wave.
That's certainly been true to me at several different key points along the way. We were in the right place at the right time and took advantage of it.
That's so cool. From a trade industry magazine directed to the Asian market, it's looking to break. So there's something to say about that, right? You're sending your message to the right person. Basic message. If you want to sell in this market, picture of the US, facts. Call to action, facts, right? It's so crazy that something, to where you are now just was built off of that little seed. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I would have never thrown away that fax machine. I would have kept it.
The same thing happened with lab grown that got us into it. Right place at the right time. The technology's been around since the 50s. But it wasn't until 2004 that one of the growers figured out how to grow a high quality 1 carat lab grown diamond that could be sold in a jewelry store.
Yeah.
And we were actively involved with somebody wanted to buy that grower. And so they asked us to do some research with consumers to see what consumers would think about this product. And we did, and it was off the charts. And that was the beginning of using the research to show a reluctant industry that this was going to be a big category.
Wow.
So how has this, lab grown diamond industry has grown over the years? I mean, what is the percentage of, is it like only in US that it has grown, or worldwide it has grown? Because I'm from India. I've never heard of, lab grown diamonds, like when we go and buy jewelry back in India, what we see are like real diamonds. They don't tell us, these are lab grown diamonds. So I'm assuming that lab grown diamond market is not big in India. But here I have done some, paperwork, saw some research. It is growing steadily. So how much it has grown over the years, and what do you see in the, the future of this industry in the US and globally?
Well, it has certainly started in the US, and the US is 50% of all the world's jewelry retailing output.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And think about that. We're not even close to 50% of the population, right?
Mm-hmm. No, but wow. India is again a big market for gold jewelry. Diamonds are not that popular in India because gold. It doesn't have, resale value. Gold, it has a lot. So
50%. Yeah, sorry, Marty, that blows my mind.
No problem. So awareness at a consumer level is now 80% of consumers in the U.S. are now aware of lab-grown diamonds, and about 30 to 50% of every engagement ring being sold in the U.S. is now lab-grown diamonds.
Wow.
72% of retailers are carrying and selling lab-grown diamonds right now in the U.S. Now, the rest of the world is hearing about it, and this is all being driven by the millennial age consumer. This is what the research told us, and this is what's true, because consumers 25 to 40 years old are very interested in sustainability in all consumer products that they buy. They're very interested in the effects of climate change. And the lab grown is a good alternative to a mined diamond, and better for the environment because we don't have to dig up or move any earth to make them. And
that's just it, right? Yeah. The cost to extract is a big factor.
Right. Not to mention you can get a bigger diamond for less money. And so in the U.S., it's already taken hold. In the other markets, European market in particular, Australian market in particular, these markets are quickly catching up. And even in India, Manny's right, a heavily traditional gold buying country, even there, with 350 millennial age consumers now starting to shop, 350 million millennial age consumers.
That's like how many people are all in the U.S. Oh, man.
They are very interested in an alternative that is sustainable, not just in jewelry, but in all the products they buy.
Yeah, in the last 2 decades, previously when we used to buy engagement rings, they used to be gold.
But gold.
Now everybody is buying, diamond rings. So yeah, the trend is taking off in India. People are more interested in buying, diamond jewelries. But this lab grown, I have not seen in India, but yeah, it is picking up.
Yeah, if I showed up, when I proposed to my wife with just a band of gold, I'd still be single.
And you'll be happy, right?
I'm happy now. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. Of course, it is getting recorded. That's why you're saying this.
What are you doing, man? Gee whiz. Marty, are you married?
I married Liz, my wife, that came to partner with me. I had to beg her, but eventually we got married, and we've been working together and
That's
raised a
awesome.
couple of kids. And
Oh, that's
Kiddos.
wonderful.
a
Well,
couple more years, we'll figure out how to do it right.
well, right, exactly. Well, maybe next time we have you on, you can have Liz sitting with you, and maybe we'll do a couples podcast or something. Is that even a thing? I just came up with that. That might be a really bad idea. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll see. So where are you living now, Marty?
We live in San Diego now.
Oh my gosh. You go from
wow.
Brooklyn, you're LA, and you're basically in the one place in the entire world that always has good weather. I haven't been. I was in California 2 weeks ago in Bakersfield. A little bit different than San Diego, but I just say California, and everybody's really impressed that I got to go to California. We're in Wisconsin. It's kind of a big deal to leave the state ever. So,
So, Marty, about this lab-grown diamonds, I mean, can you control, like in real diamonds, you have different clarity and different categories. Do you have the same thing in lab-grown diamonds? I mean, can you control the clarity, like the quality and categories of the diamonds?
You have exactly the same characteristics and qualities that you have in mine diamonds, and every lab-grown diamond is graded by the various laboratories, GIA, IGI, whatever the certification body is. They're graded exactly the same as mine diamonds. And the best part is you can grow to those specifications. When you're mining diamonds, you got to dig out thousands of tons of dirt to get a couple of carats of diamonds.
Wow.
And you don't know what you're going to get. With lab-grown diamonds, you can grow to whatever specs you want.
So what is the process? I mean, how much time it takes? Suppose, like if you want to grow a 1 carat diamond of the highest quality, how much time it takes to do that on an average?
There are two different technologies. One is CVD, chemical vapor deposition. That's similar to what they use in chips, semiconductor growth for chips. And the second is HPHT, high pressure heat treatment. The CVD growing process is a smaller equipment, a smaller footprint, and the HPHT technology is gigantic, high pressure chambers. In the CVD process, to grow a 1 carat diamond, first of all, you're going to grow a 4 carat rough diamond, which will cut down to a 1 carat diamond, polished. It takes anywhere from 10 days to 2 weeks to grow that stone.
Wow. In 10 days, you get a diamond, and it takes millions of years.
10 days, you get a rough diamond. You then have to send it to India to be cut and polished, and then get it back. That takes another few weeks to do, and then you're ready to sell it.
So basically, you have a diamond in your hands, a finished product within months. Like maybe 1 or 2 months. And whereas it takes millions of years for Earth to make a diamond. Wow.
So on that topic, does, let's say over the past 10, 20, or even the 50 years, have you seen a change in the view from let's say the industry, the major industry companies in the jewelry market in precious gems on how they approach the lab grown? Are they trying to get into it and take advantage of it? Are they still pushing up against it? Is there conflict between the two? What's that like?
That's a really good point, because there has been it's a very tradition bound industry. Change is very hard for this industry. And there was tremendous resistance from 2004, literally until the pandemic hit. And retailers that were very tradition bound didn't want to see the shift to lab grown. But when the pandemic hit, for one reason or another, the availability of lab grown also became widespread globally. There were a lot more people growing it, and consumers were being exposed to it, and they just overwhelmingly gravitated toward it. Presented with the choice, 7 out of 10 consumers will pick the lab grown diamond. And so even the retailers that were extremely resistant to doing it had to get into it at that point, and they are.
So they're moving over to your side of the table.
Yeah, it's interesting because I believe showing a consumer the choice and letting them pick which they want is fine. I'm not all or the other. I think
Yeah, I agree
consumers
with you
like
there.
diamonds. They want to buy them. This is just another diamond. It's exactly the same except for the origin. Let's let a consumer decide what they want. However, there are people in the industry that continue to fight on this subject. Some of them are very traditional and don't want to see it. I'll tell you why that is, though, and it's based on a marketing myth that was created in 1938 by De Beers that said, every woman should get a diamond for an engagement ring, but also diamonds were an investment. That was a
I
marketing
see,
myth.
something that increases in value, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all BS. It always was BS,
Yeah.
and it really lingered on. They don't even market that story anymore, but it went from generation to generation. That's why the industry has resisted it, because they like the perception of that myth that diamonds were a store of value, and lab grown diamonds are not, but neither are mine diamonds.
Right. Yeah. There's never been a serious market that have based their economy on diamond, like let's say gold or something.
So, like, I beg to differ on this point. I'm talking from India's point of view. So when we buy diamonds over there, and if we buy from known brands, they assure us that like, if we say, like, in 10 years if we want to sell it, okay, we will get the appreciated value every year. Known brands in India appreciate diamond values by some percentage. So if I buy now, and I want to sell it next year, they will give me a appreciated price of the diamond. So do the lab grown diamonds also appreciate in value, or they remain the same? I mean, is the market, is there an increase in the price of the diamonds year by year here for lab grown
No,
diamonds?
in neither the lab grown business or the mine diamond business is there an appreciation in value. And if you don't believe me, I want you to go buy a diamond tomorrow and then come back a week later and try and resell it. They depreciate faster than your car when you drive it off the showroom.
Wow.
Wow. In India, they sell it as diamonds are forever.
Yeah. Well, that's what they've tried to say here too.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the greatest marketing story ever told.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
But still, there is still a definite pull, like when people go and buy jewelry, they are definitely attracted towards diamond. And with these lab grown diamonds in the market, you have a cheaper option with the same qualities, clarity, and same attractiveness, right?
Yep. And I think you'll always, like Marty, like you said, it's not necessarily that one's better than the other. I was talking to you, Manny, the other day when we were talking about discussing this. I'm like, what happens, or is it there where the lab grown is exactly the same? It's indistinguishable with any type of instruments or eye or whatever. Is that because at that point, supply and demand would say you've got an endless supply, right? So does that bring the value down? There again, I don't know. Is that just me talking nonsense, Marty, or is that something that people kind of think about when it comes to the quality of it?
Well, there's no question that right now the capacity to grow diamonds has grown faster than the demand for lab grown diamonds globally. But what's also happening right now with the Russian diamond boycott is a lot of mine diamonds are shriveling in supply. And the price of mine diamonds is also deteriorating because more lab-grown diamonds are coming in and consumers are gravitating to them. So there's a constant flux in the valuation. But one thing that's interesting about lab-grown diamonds that is not true with mine diamonds, and this will affect pricing, is that there are other applications for lab-grown diamonds besides just gem.
Oh, sure.
And those applications are in the scientific community. And soon you will have semiconductors built on lab-grown diamonds. You will have quantum computing that uses lab-grown diamonds. You will have space technology that uses lab-grown diamonds. Diamonds are a natural heat reducer in circuitry. So in all semiconductor and all microprocessing, heat is a big problem. And the more technology you put into computers, the more they have to be cooled to operate. And what diamonds do is they absorb heat in circuitry. And everybody in those growing tech sectors are experimenting with lab-grown diamonds now. So once that evolves, it's going to be 1,000 times bigger than the gem business. But also, there's a limited number of chambers to grow diamonds, so you got to decide which you want to grow for, gems or semiconductors, and that competing factor is what's going to stabilize pricing.
Never thought. I completely didn't. That slipped my mind to think about the scientific application of diamonds in that way. There's so many things, especially heat dissipation is huge. It's huge when it comes to performance of chips and systems. Wow. That's crazy. So Marty, tell me a little bit more about kind of the on your way to where you are right now. What are some of the struggles you encountered? What are some of the toughest times that you faced? And talk to me a little bit about how you got through that.
People don't know this that aren't entrepreneurs. I'm sure you guys are aware of this, given your own business development. But starting a business and seeing it through is a very challenging thing to do. And you really don't have the assets and the resources, whether it's capital or personnel or expertise, to compete with bigger people that are in your space.
Don't we know?
And that's the hardest thing. And this is one of the reasons why there's such a high failure rate for startups is, and you don't know this when you get started, and you've come to find out that it's really hard. You got to do everything yourself. And that's really challenging to do. And so you have to be really energized and excited about what you're doing. Or in my case, I literally invented a business category that didn't exist. Nobody, when I started, was doing market research with jewelry consumers. And today, nobody's still doing it. I'm still the only one that does it.
Are you kidding me? Are you serious?
And a lot of companies, big research companies, have tried to come into the jewelry industry, but because they weren't born in it like I was and didn't have the relationships like I do, they can't. It's hard to get in here and do outside work like market research. I have literally lived it. One of the biggest things I did from day one was build my CRM database, and I still manage it today. Every single day, I am updating my CRM with everybody in the industry globally.
What do you use for CRM?
I use a small CRM called One Page CRM. We've been through about 10 different platforms. We had to get something that everybody in my company could use really easily. It's a cultural thing. If people don't use it, it's not going to be effective.
You're absolutely right. One Page CRM. Never heard of it. I'm going to have to look at it. Interesting. For everybody out there that might not know what a CRM, customer relationship management type of software that you want to get all your information in and leverage, on the front end, whether it's through marketing and through your sales cycle, closing, tracking funnels, everything. If it's not in your CRM, then it probably didn't happen. That's my philosophy. Right.
So Marty, since you are the only one, doing this, how your research is helping the industry? How your research is helping all these, big players? And the research that you're doing, is it like only US based, or is it like, for global market?
It's global now. It was originally US based. And now, since we've been around a while and we've got credibility, we get inquiries from all over the world, people that have a new brand or a new product. And before they spend the money to develop it or bring it to market, they want to know what consumers will pay for it, if they're interested in it, and where those consumers will shop for it. And these are things that we can tell them very clearly and very specifically. We can do price elasticity measurements. We can shift the components in the product using imagery to let consumers rank which ones they will likely buy and what they will pay for it. And we can literally give a brand developer or a product developer, whether they're big or small, a roadmap to introduce a new product to market. And just this morning, I got an inquiry on LinkedIn from somebody in Germany asking about a new launch they want to do, and can I test the market in Europe? And that's the sort of thing that we do all over the world now.
Wow. So you are based out of San Diego. Do you have offices in other countries, or all your business is from US?
No, we do not have offices in other countries, but we do have contractors that we use in other markets if we need them.
Okay, that's wonderful. So what's your process? I mean, what mediums do you use to do your market research?
Well, everything is done on the internet now in market research. We can achieve very large quantitative research studies with thousands of consumers anywhere in the world, and they can be of any demographic, size, shape that we want. We even do focus groups, just like we're doing this podcast. We do video focus groups with people. We do phone-based studies for quick pop-up studies with people. We can tell where they're shopping and ask them questions based on that. So every part of our business, every part of the research world has gone completely digital now and has provided access to millions of consumer opinions in very much real time. And graphically, we can show unbelievable product images
so
to really
new
get
technology that everybody's talking about AI these days. Are you utilizing that in your business?
Yeah, we use AI quite a bit to do image creation of products, to write articles. We publish a newsletter about lab-grown diamonds now. We use AI to help us write interesting theoretical articles about what might happen. And we use AI in press releases about stories that we're doing.
Oh, that's
cool.
Wonderful.
So I want to back up a little bit. So very similarly, when you were bringing us a new technology and a new kind of service to market when it comes to consumer research for this industry, and you're talking about things you were running up against and stuff, there's market research companies that were huge, but they weren't necessarily doing things the way you were doing for the same market. It's kind of what we experienced, Manny, when we started. There was still a huge transcription industry, and competitors with thousands of people doing the work. We're up against new technologies like voice recognition software, which has evolved heavily into leveraging voice recognition software with machine learning AI to be able to anticipate and recognize speech patterns. And that, those kind of things forced us in our marketing efforts, cold calling and reaching out and just trying to drum up business. We ran into people that had a need, but they were starting things with live scribes and stuff. And so that's kind of how we pivoted and did that, but always learning from the problems that were created by our competitors and then solving those problems and then kind of pooling it into a new line or a new service in a new way, right? That's kind of been the way we've shifted. With your industry, Marty, what kind of, obviously marketing in like the late 80s, like you said, via, a magazine with a fax number to, digital marketing and leveraging consumer research over the internet via live meetings or you name it. What were the biggest things you were doing 80s and 90s, early 2000s to the way you're getting things done now?
Yeah, that's a really good, interesting evolution, both for you and for me. Because one thing an entrepreneur has to do is identify pain points in their target audience and try and provide solutions for them. And it's not so easy to do, because not only do they have to be willing to hear new innovations, but you have to be willing to seek those out and not get mired down in what you've been doing before. You really can't be afraid of change. You have to embrace change and innovation. And sometimes embracing change means making mistakes. And so I've made a lot of mistakes. And, it's like striking out. You got to get back up and swing again the next time up at bat. But one thing I saw very quickly as the technology started to evolve was it wasn't going to be an outbound marketing game. It wasn't going to be cold calling for me anymore. What everybody that's really winning in digital marketing is winning at is the theory that content is king.
Yep.
You put content out, whether it's research reports or news stories, you get stories written about you, you do videos, you interview customers, you interview consumers, you put an array of content out, and you wait for the clicks to come in from people that have the pain point. When you get clicks coming in, what we used to call inbound calls, but now they're inbound clicks. When you get clicks coming in from a story written about you or from content being seen about you, that person's already sold. You don't have to sell them. They have the pain point. You already got them to believe you have the solution. It's a really much more efficient marketing and sales process. And if you tie your CRM into that and start to, as you mentioned earlier, track the sales journey with everybody, it becomes a very much a statistical model of gaining new business and expanding existing business. Now, we got really good at that. Sometime in the 2000s when we weren't using the fax machine anymore, we got really good at creating content. It was our own research. It was people interviewing us. It was speaking engagements we did. Eventually, it became webinars, etc. And we had it because we were the only ones really doing this. We really had a lot of subject matter and still do. And that became really the focus for us. Content is king.
So you mentioned a little bit ago, you made mistakes. I've made mistakes. Manny, have you made any mistakes? Costly mistakes. We've made recent costly mistakes, right?
Yeah.
But what would you say one of your biggest mistakes was, Marty, when it came, to your adventure here with this business?
Well, generally, the biggest mistake, I think, for every entrepreneur is assuming too much overhead before they have the revenue to support it. We went through some boom years in the mid to late 90s and even the early 2000s. We had a big office infrastructure and a ton of employees, and the business was good, but the business was not on a consistent path. And so eventually all that overhead just strangled us.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest mistake we made is we ramped up overhead faster than revenue.
Let's sit on that for a little bit, because it's easy to just we can nod our heads. We can agree with you. We're running a business. We know how tough that can be. But talk to me a little bit about how that made you and your wife. When you're building a company, you're bringing people in, you're protecting this egg, you're growing it, you care about it. And I can just say from my standpoint, almost the only thing that keeps me up at night is making sure that I'm protecting my people, right? And I don't think that comes across a lot, whether it's small business, medium, big, whatever. I think business can get a bad rap sometimes because we got to make really hard decisions based on money in, money out. And, how does it make you feel when you're going through those tough times and you realize I'm not going to be able to balance this anymore? I'm going to have to let some people go. And it's not just about letting some people go and opening the doors. It's like there's a person, a family, a lifestyle, a lot of things that happen based on what we're doing when we're leading people. Tell me about some of your experiences there and kind of what happens for you.
Yeah, it's a very painful part of being in business, no question, is the loyalty you ask of your employees and the loyalty you give back to them. And the only thing I could say, and the only way I tried to make that an easier burden for them was you could sort of see the train getting ready to come off the tracks a few months in advance. So I tried to give them as much warning as possible. And I tried to convert all of them to independent contractors instead of employees, to at least give them some bridge to them finding another job. But yeah, the people part of the business is very challenging, and today it's even worse because it's really hard to find anybody now. So
it is.
It's even more of a problem.
Now, it is. It's hard to find good people. We've got a huge market. We've got, I don't know if you knew this, Marty, we've got about a team of 200, between 250, 200 people over in our India offices. We have 2 offices in India. Fantastic team. I haven't got a chance to go over there and meet them yet. It's always on Zoom calls and videos. And when they're doing celebrations, they'll pipe me in so I can see all the fun stuff they're doing. And we've got about 12, 13 people here now on the state side. But we've got a huge market of people in India. When we put an ad out for a position, hundreds of people apply. We put an ad out for a position in the US, it's like pulling teeth to get a resume. And and then you've got to fight the battle of personalities, and is it the right person for the role and the right person for your culture and stuff like that. But when you work so hard to bring the right person in, you have them for a while, and when something happens where either they need to leave because they found something new, it affects. I don't know about you, it affects me because I care about people. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a challenge. I think personnel, human resources is one of the biggest challenges of an entrepreneur, and that growth cycle is really affected by that.
Yep.
But sure. I believe, these days people are kind of understanding, like, okay, nobody is sad or, like unhappy when they are let go, because with lots of, like startups coming up and closing down, quickly, people have seen, business have ups and downs, and it's not like, they are working for a government, they're doing a government job, which is like secured and you won't be fired. And people want to work, want to grow quickly, and they want to grow, with a growing company, and they understand if the company is not growing, people are smart these days, like they can see, the trends in the company. And if they see the company is not growing, they start looking for jobs. Before even, like their employer tells them, okay, I don't have space for you anymore. So it's not that hard these days. People understand, I guess.
Yeah, I guess when you gotta let, and if it's a mutual kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes it has to be. You mentioned earlier about the next gen consumer and how much impact they have on the growth of the market moving forward right now. You mentioned, the size of that market in India. It's a sizable market here, especially buying power is increasing, obviously. With that, how you mentioned, so that younger millennial kind of group that's growing up, how and why are they gravitating to it? Is it because it's a better cost scenario? Is it because they don't really see the difference and they can get a hold of it quicker? Well, you did mention the one thing, environmentally. That's a big driver.
That's a big thing.
But other than that,
because of the divorce rates also.
Divorce rates are higher. Yes, it's cheaper to get more diamonds.
The 25 to 40-year-old age group globally is much better educated than my generation was. They're much more aware of the perils of climate change.
Yeah.
And they're much more interested in any product, whether it's shoes or cars or diamonds, that can show some sort of third-party verified sustainability ethos in the product. And that's why they're gravitating toward it. And it's in the U.S. and it's all over the world. In fact, some of the consumers in that age group are in India and China are even more educated than U.S. consumers, and they're acutely aware of the perils of this. So whether it's clothing or cars or anything, they want to see that product. It just so happens in jewelry, in diamonds, sustainability costs you less In most other industries, if you
It's
want
more.
a sustainable product, you
Right.
pay more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In diamonds, you pay less.
Yep. That's a good point. So we're getting close to the last 10, 15 minutes of the podcast here, Marty. Typically what we like to do is just have some fun conversation about hobbies, what you like, what keeps you busy outside of the office. You got to have a lot of options in San Diego, honestly. I don't know if I'd ever be inside for more than I had to be. What kind of stuff do you like to do outside of marketing in the jewelry sector?
I'm a big horse racing fan. I go to the racetrack a lot.
You're a racetrack, so you put money on the races.
We used to years ago. We used to breed racehorses in California.
Wow. Now Manny's all happy. He's a closet.
I've been doing that since I was a kid. My father took me to the racetrack, and it really stuck with me.
That's cool. I mean, that's really cool. Manny loves gambling. Can't do the whole lot of gambling in India, but when he comes stateside, any opportunity, he's at the casino.
By the way, I've been to racetracks all over the world, including the Bombay Turf Club at the races there.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Bombay Turf Club.
Wonderful. I mean,
Are you
I didn't
familiar
know
with that,
that
Manny?
we had like racetracks back in India, and is it like legal back in India? I mean,
Oh yeah.
So you didn't even know?
horse- Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh, great.
I mean, there is a
I'm going to have to open up a
racetrack
separate
in
bank
Delhi I
account
know
for
about.
him when he's at home. He's going to be at the track. Is Manny in the office yet? No, he's at the track. No, that's cool. I think it gets a bad rap, right? Because, like a lot of things, you see shows and stuff like that or whatever. So what's a typical day at the track like when you go and you go see some races?
Well, I'm actually going tomorrow to Santa Anita in Los Angeles, the opening of their season. The track is stunningly beautiful. The San Gabriel Mountains are in the background. The sun is shining. You get right up close. You can see them saddle the horses. The jockeys are right there. It's a very close experience, and some of the finest horses in the world race there.
That's cool.
I've heard about this, Santa Anita track from one of the movies. Is it like one of the biggest races in US?
Yes, it's one of the biggest races and one of the biggest racetracks in the U.S.
Oh, cool.
Which movie?
And the other one down here in San Diego is called Del Mar, and Del Mar is a beautiful track, also right at the ocean. Spectacular views and great quality horses.
Very cool. So, just in case we've got any viewers that don't really know a lot about horse racing, tell us about the good qualities, because a lot of times you'll hear media about the horses aren't treated well, blah blah blah, but I don't think any of that. Well, there's always outliers, right? But from my understanding, these horses, they're living a pretty good life.
I've heard like jockeys are not treated well.
Jockeys aren't treated well? We don't care about them. Let's talk about the horses. Marty, tell me what it's like for a horse, that's thoroughbred. What's it like to be a thoroughbred?
Keep in mind, there's all kinds of levels. There's really low quality tracks and super high quality tracks, but generally speaking, thoroughbred racehorses from the day they're born till the day they retire live a very comfortable life, and the good ones are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So even the breeding process of breeding a thoroughbred is very pampered existence for the horse.
I was going to say, if I retired from work and my job was basically to breed, I could live with that.
So the best stallions can get $500,000 a breeding.
Wow.
Wow.
That's cool.
So, Marty, tell me one thing. I mean, since you are in this research field, how this field of yours is helping you to win horse races? I mean, are you doing research before doing any gambling?
Actually, the interesting thing about the horse business is before there were computers, the horse business was the original big data business, because the statistics they kept on every horse on just paper were incredible. Now it's all digitized, but previously there was so much history on every single horse and their breeding and their races and their workouts. and they still have it, but it was way before computers. They had big data.
So where are you making more money, through your business or through horse racing?
It depends if you ask my wife or you ask me.
Well, see, the horse racing inspires him to work harder, so that's why the business is going so well. So really, you gotta count it all.
Maybe we can do some research on roulette.
So we know what you're doing this weekend, Marty. You're going to the races. Manny, what are you doing this weekend? What are you up to, bud?
Now I'm all excited to go to Potawatomi.
You're going to Potawatomi. Great. All right.
But I'll do some research before doing that. Going there, make some money.
So Marty, Potawatomi is a casino here in the Milwaukee area, Wisconsin. Wisconsin's got quite a few different casinos that are owned and operated by the different tribes in Wisconsin. So pretty popular place for folks to go to. Me, I'm going to my in-laws' house to clean gutters. That is what the life of an entrepreneurial celebrity like me is like. I'll be getting up early, throwing everybody into the truck, heading an hour away, and I'm going to be up on a ladder cleaning gutters for my father-in-law, who I love to death, and I'm really happy to be able to do it because we'll have some fun. We'll have a beer or two after.
You're saying the right things in the
We'll catch up, and then my wife did tell me I have to take her shopping, so I guess I'm going to the mall too. So I'll take a nap in the car while she's in there. So anyway, this has really been. Are you a sports guy outside of horse racing, Marty? Racing?
Yeah, I'm a big college football fan.
Okay,
and I'm a big Big Ten fan.
Okay, so you're a Big Ten fan. Who's your team in the Big Ten?
Michigan.
So 2 weeks in a row, we've got some Big Ten. Remember last week with David? David is a Penn State guy. Grew up in Pennsylvania. We're obviously in Wisconsin. So I do love the Badgers. I'm originally from Texas, so that's not Big Ten territory. But so I'm a Texas A&M guy that way. So Michigan's an interesting story. Michigan was growing up for me in the 90s, like in my high school years. It was Michigan. It was Michigan basketball, it was Michigan football. Like those, Michigan basketball literally changed sports shorts fashion. Because all the shorts were way too short for guys to be wearing, kind of like they are right now. Back to that. Yeah. But then they went down to kind of exaggerated and went past their knees. But Michigan, the Fab Four from that college basketball team, they started that whole trend, which was, anyway, Michigan, cool. So I haven't been paying attention to Michigan much this year. How are they doing?
They're doing really well. They play Nebraska tomorrow, and they have a super quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, and he's, being very looked at by the pros. So,
okay, so we're actually recording this a week in advance. So this is going to come out to public next week, Friday. That's okay. So let's see. What are your, are they going to win? Is Nebraska any good this year?
Nebraska is good, but Michigan's going to win.
Michigan's going to win. Give us what are they going to win by?
I think it'll be 35-14.
35-14. All right. Lock that in. We'll check it out. We'll see if we'll see if that happens. We're trying to teach Manny about American sports. He's a big cricket fan. He taught us a week or so ago about overs or home runs in cricket were 6 points. What's something else in cricket that you can teach us today?
Okay, so in cricket, the highest you can score is, like by hitting a 6, which means 6 points.
Yep.
After that, if you hit, on the ground and it crosses the boundary, that gives you 4. So the highest scores in cricket are like the 6. After that, it's 4, and then whatever you can, run between
individually.
The
okay.
Yeah, individually. No, it's not. It's never individually. So there are always 2 players, like
someone else on the field that you're hitting.
Yeah. So you are the batter. The other one is, like on the running side. So suppose you take 1 run, so you go to the other side, and the runner comes to the batting position, and they bat.
Okay.
So until both of them are not, are out, they don't get out, they stay in the field.
Interesting.
If the other team is able to, catches them, or
how does someone get out in cricket? You have to tag them with the ball? Do you have to hit the base first?
So, a baller, there are like different ways that you can get out in cricket.
Okay.
So first is, like a bowler is bowling you, and if you miss the, ball and it hits your wickets, there are 3 wickets behind the batter. So that way you can get out. So that's called like, clean bowled, The second way is, like you hit the ball and someone catches it before it, gets to the ground. That is called, like caught.
And they use bare hands, right?
Huh?
Are they using bare hands to catch?
Yeah, bare hands, yeah.
Okay, you got us there, buddy.
Another way is, like, okay, if you are not playing a shot, or, like you try to play a shot, but it hits your pad, this area, from knee below, your knee area, and if it's going directly to the wicket, that's called, like leg before wicket, and you can get out.
Okay.
So that is another way. So basically, and then the last way is, like running out. So you hit the ball, you start, like your run to get to the other side, but the fielder, catches the ball and throws it, to the runner side, and if it hits the wicket before you reach the running side,
hits the
you
wicket.
get out. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, how you get out in baseball.
Yeah.
If you're running towards the base
and it gets to the base, the person catches it with their
catcher.
The base.
Yeah. So that's called run out.
Okay. Did you know any of that, Marty?
Cricket is quite a mystery. I mean, that was a great explanation, but if you're sitting there watching it, it's really hard to follow.
I am determined. And with this podcast, one like little thing at a time, I'm going to learn cricket. I'm going to learn it. I am. And I'm going to play it.
Look, I'm teaching you guys a lot of things, but you never tell me. You just talk about, like, okay, who we are picking, but you never tell me about, like how baseball works, how basketball works, or, like how
next week I'm going
football works.
I'm going to write "Stop Whining" on the chalkboard, because I wanted the audience to know that I was putting your needs before me in that explaining cricket. So what should we teach him about football? He knows nothing about the rules of football, Marty. If you're going to give him one tip, where should we start?
Hold on to the rock.
Okay. The ball.
The ball? Oh, okay. I thought like the rock.
Don't let go of the football. All right. You know what it's called if you drop the ball? If you're running with it and it gets knocked out or you drop it? It's called a fumble.
Fumble. Oh yeah.
Fumble's bad. Everybody jumps on it, right? So that's a good point.
But if you hold on to the rock and somebody hits you, I mean, do you want to hold on to the rock? Yeah,
well, you have a choice. I mean,
I see people, like the quarterback. As soon as he gets the ball, he throws it.
Okay.
So that's like against the principle of holding on to it.
Well, yeah, but the quarterback can only throw it forward in specific situations. So before the ball gets hiked to the quarterback, you know how there's a line of guys on offense in front of the quarterback facing that way, and then there's the other guys facing against them. So the quarterback's on offense with his guys. The other side is defense. Once it's hiked, that's when you see them run into each other. Before it's hiked, there's what's called the line of scrimmage, wherever the nose of the ball is as it's on the ground. The line of scrimmage, it extends from one sideline to the other. You don't see it when you watch it on TV. See a yellow line that used to not be there. It's so funny when they first started using that years back when my wife and I are watching. She's like, and we go to a live game. We went to a Green Bay game or something. And she's like, "Where's the yellow line? I can't tell. Where's the yellow line?" I'm like, "Honey, that's digital."
So how that line is decided? I mean, how do you decide that? So
the line is decided by where the ball ended up after the previous play.
Okay.
So the idea is to advance the ball, right? And we're gonna get through all the rules here. But anyway, when he's saying don't fumble, let's say ball's hiked to the quarterback. His job is to get it to somebody to advance the ball or advance the ball himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's everybody else's job on his side of the ball to help the ball get advanced. So if I'm the quarterback, I either want to do a forward pass, but I can only throw the ball forward if I'm behind the line of scrimmage.
Okay.
If I run it and advance beyond that line of scrimmage, I can only toss the ball backwards, which is dangerous when a play is running and there's a lot of things going on in the field. There's a lot of chaos. You could toss it to somebody else. The person you toss it to could drop it. Because if I toss it backwards and it hits the ground, it's still a live ball. Someone on the other team could grab it, possess it, get tackled down, or run it in the opposite direction. If I throw it forward and I throw it to a receiver who misses it and it hits the ground, it's a dead ball. But I could throw it forward and someone on the other team could catch it.
So I have another question, but maybe it's like for the next time.
Okay. But anyway, what did you learn? You learned don't fumble the ball.
Yeah, hold on to the rock.
Line of scrimmage.
Yeah. It should be a diamond.
It should be a diamond.
Lab-grown diamond. I will definitely hold on to that.
No, this has been really good. Well, Marty, I think we're about at that time. I definitely feel like I've benefited and profited from this conversation. I want to say I really appreciate your time today. I appreciate you taking that time out to come visit with us here today. And yeah, thank you so much. Anything you want to leave the folks with before we finish up for today?
No, I really enjoyed meeting you guys. I thought this was very energetic conversation, and I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, well, have fun at the races. If you put some money down, I hope you win big. Manny, I'm calling your wife and telling her to keep you inside. You're not allowed.
I want to learn about like horse racing and like how you.
He's glowing right now. Glowing. Telling you, Marty. Oh, I'm going to rue the day of this podcast. Anyway, okay, this has been fantastic. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for episode 3 of the Business Line podcast. And until next week, have a great one. Take care.